I hope that today I'll be able to share with you some information that you'll be able to take with you, some knowledge. I have a philosophy that knowledge creates confidence, and confidence creates action. Before I begin, I would like you all to know that when I began For Life, 12 years ago, this month actually, September 12 years ago, I did not even own a car. So it doesn't matter, my point is this, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your financial situation, as long as you have a desire, as long as you have dreams, you can accomplish them with For Life. You can do that. So let's begin. Hopefully you got some, if you want to write some notes, I've got some things I want to share with you. So here we go. First of all, you need to envision your journey. I've got a 10-year-old boy. He loves baseball. That's become his sport. I've always told him, I said, Brandon, the game is played in your head. Physically, you're going to grow. Physically, you're going to become better because the more you practice, the better you get. But you still have to envision, you have to know the game in your head. All of you, you need to envision your journey and do it by doing this. Ask yourself these questions. Who do you want to take on this journey with you? I bet most of you be thinking about your loved ones, your family, friends, and you know that most of them are probably going to say no to you in the beginning. But when you look around and talk to a lot of the leaders, you'll find their families, brothers, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles are also in the business. So think about who do you want to take with you? What is your purpose, your reason, and what do you want from this business? What is it you really want from this? Maybe you want a new house. I'll tell you that I wanted financial independence. That's what I really wanted. I wanted to be of service. I wanted to help. I have this need to try to fix things all the time. When do you really want to get there? You need to think ahead. Now, even if you say, well, I want to do this, I want to become a presidential diamond in 90 days or 6 months, whatever, it's good to have your long-term goals. And we'll talk about some of the short-term in a minute. But when do you want to get there? Envision, where do you see yourself going? You can talk to Gold International Diamonds, Platinum International Diamonds. You'll find that most of them have been traveling now in many countries. I was just in Southeast Asia recently. I've traveled all throughout the world, been to every country where For Life has an office. So For Life's enabled not just myself, but my family to be able to travel. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to do your business? The great thing about independence is you can do it when you want, where you want, with who you want, how you want. It's independence. And most of all, why? Why do you want to do it? Now, if you look, most of you, I'm sure, have families. Don't we want the best for our families, our children, our loved ones? You have to have a strong why to maintain that vision. So whenever times get tough, and trust me, do you think I've had some tough times? Absolutely. I've had days where I looked at the telephone and it was like, I've got to make another phone call. But I did it because I had a strong why I was doing it. And I hung up the phone, ran downstairs, and I talked to Gabby, my wife, and I said, I just signed up a new distributor. I'm all excited. Maybe the work was a little hard, but you know what? I did it. You have to have a strong why. So envision and keep that vision. Do not lose that vision. It's critical that you always maintain the vision. Now, in prioritizing, it's important to create a plan of action. You can envision all you want, but you have to start putting things into motion. You have to start making things happen. And the first thing you need to do is prepare yourself. I'm going to talk about each of these in just a minute. But you have to have some sort of plan of action. Prepare. you have to prospect. Understand that this business is a lifestyle. This business is something you live day in and day out. And prospecting is something that you have to make habitual. It has to be a habit. Let me tell you, you think that if I sit on the plane next to someone, do you think I'm not going to ask that person about For Life or tell them about For Life? Of course, what are they going to do? They're going to try to escape. They can't jump off the airplane. You know? So if you sit next to me on a plane, you're going to hear about what I do for a living. You see? Make it a habit. And you need to identify as you build your business who your future leaders are. You have to look as you're building and start looking at leaders, potential leaders, who deserves your time, and relationships. Keep your relationships strong. Why are we all here today? We're here to learn. We're here to have a good time, but we're also bonding and building relationships together, aren't we? Absolutely, we are. Get prepared to prepare yourself. This sounds kind of funny, but you need to get prepared to prepare yourself. And what I mean by that is getting prepared by being able to give a presentation. How many of you right now can walk out this door, and if you found someone that said, "What do you do for a living?" that you could give them a 10-minute, concise, good presentation about For Life as a company, Transfer Factor or the products you represent, and this business model of together building people or networking. Can you do it in 10 minutes? You can. If you can't, you need to prepare yourself so you can. That's the only way that you're going to be able to go out there and build your business and duplicate. So start getting some knowledge. When you leave, those of you that are brand new, go back home and start doing presentations. You know, when I started my business, I always joke about my team. My team had 3 great people. Me, myself, and I. That was my team. But I knew that I had to gain knowledge. I knew nothing about Transfer Factor. I knew a little bit about For Life because I flew up here, talked to David Lisenby. Fortunately, back in those days, 12 years ago, you could do that. Just come up and say, "Mr. Lisenby, I need to talk to you." It's a little more difficult today, but I caught the vision very quick. But I knew that I could have all the vision I want, but I've got to have some knowledge up here. So I went back to my little place back in San Diego and sat down and created my presentation. Gained a little bit of knowledge first. And then I was ready to go out there. Prepare yourself also for rejection. Do you think talk to any platinum or gold. Do you think that we've had rejection? Of course, it's no big deal. You know? In fact, I find it challenging sometimes. I've had people tell me that network marketing stuff doesn't work. Could have fooled me. I think it works pretty darn good, doesn't it? I think it's great. I love this business. I'm passionate about this business. But I know that even friends and family members at first are going to say no. Now, they might use the product and become a consumer. It's okay. It's no big deal. But also, prepare yourself for success. And that's very difficult to do because you really don't know. Talk to any platinum or gold international diamond and ask them if their lives have changed. And even international diamonds. Yes, many of us, our lives have changed dramatically. As you become successful, the one thing I'm so proud of in For Life is the principles and the people that we have that really want to help people building this business together. So prepare yourself for success as well. Change and the pain of change. Many times we let people put us in a little box. They look at you and they say, "You're timid, you're shy, you're quiet, you're not a leader. You know, you work in an office for a living. You've never owned a business. You can't do this." Don't let people put you in a box. You need to be prepared for change because your life, I promise you, if you're going to do this business, and you're going to do this business, right? Okay. If you're going to do this business, your life is going to change. And many people who judge you and criticize you and look at you, They may say, oh, you can't do it. And then when they see you all of a sudden driving a new car, moving into a new house, it's okay if those people all of a sudden decide that, you know what, they start moving away from you a little bit. Because a lot of people don't like it when their friends change. But change is good. It's okay. Change is good. But be prepared. Sometimes it's a little painful, but you know what? You have to do it. Challenge yourself. You know, I am actually, believe it or not, I'm a timid, quiet, shy person. I am. If you saw me, you know, around, you know, like down at the ball field, or I don't run around waving a 4-Life flag, woo! You know, I am really I'm more introverted than extroverted is what I'm trying to say. But I know that I have to put my suit on because this is what I do for a living, because I love this, and this is what has helped me touch other lives and become financially independent. But let me tell you, the first time that I did my first presentation in English, I almost peed my pants. I was shaking so bad, and to this day, I don't even remember what I said. And it doesn't matter, because my life changed that day because I knew I could do it. So be prepared for some of these painful changes. It's okay. And the first time I did a presentation in Spanish, I told everybody, por causa de él estoy embarazado. That means because of him I'm pregnant. You see? So, you know, it's okay. Change is good. That's how we learn also. The art of prospecting. Prospecting is an interesting thing. But you must live this, and you must make it a habit. Live the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time while you are working for life as your business, 80% of your time should be talking to people. Imagine if all of us left here and we put 80% of our for life hours. You know, it's okay if you've got 5 hours a week, or, you know, or 40 hours a week, or 100 hours a week, whatever amount of time you're putting into your business. 80% of that time needs to be dedicated to presenting or talking to people. 20% needs to be put into planning, preparing, studying, you know, getting some more knowledge. Maybe you have some questions on the compensation plan. You're talking to your upline. You're on the 4Life website. You know, you're learning how to sign up somebody online. You know, but 80%, you're talking to people for yourself or people for your people, because you're working your downline now. You need to look at your circle of influence. Who do you know? You know, who's your circle of influence? Who do you know you could go to, and they'll say, okay, you know, I'll listen to you. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm curious about what you're doing. But more than that, you need to look at others' circle of influence. You sign up a brand new baby distributor. Do they know people that you don't know? Yes, they do. It's your responsibility to get into their circle of influence. And if you did what I mentioned before by preparing yourself, getting that knowledge, that person will say, hey, I know someone who might be interested. And if you go there and you give a good presentation, do you think they might come back to you and say, hey, that was great. I've got some more people. They will. They will. So you need to be able to get into other people's circle of influence. I like to use trigger questions as I present. When I'm talking to people, even before I talk to people, I ask them, what do you do for a living? When you're next to me on an airplane, that's what I love to ask. I'm curious, what do you do for a living? And they tell me what they do. I'm a dentist, you know, I'm a lawyer, you know, I own a furniture shop. When they tell me what they do, 95% of the time, guess what they ask me? What do I do for presentation time? You see? Trigger questions. And when you present something to someone, you need to look at them and maybe even halfway through when you're done, say, what do you think? Or how do you feel? You know, when I'm sitting down with someone and doing a presentation, you know, what do you think? And let them tell you what they think. Use trigger questions. Developing relationships. This is a relationship business. You're not going to go out there and talk to 5 people, and they're going to talk to 5 people, and they're going to talk to 5 people, and they're going to talk to 5 people, and you're going to go, wow, I'm rich. It's just not going to happen. If it does, I want to know. But the fact of the matter is, you need to keep your relationship strong, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Identifying potential leaders. Work with people who deserve your time. A lot of times we're out there, we're beating someone over the head. You got to do for life. Come on, get going, let's go. And they're not doing anything. You know what? It's easier to give birth than raise the dead. Okay? So work with people that deserve your time, not just those who need it. Everybody needs your time. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs to be successful. But who deserves it? Work your way up the food chain. For example, if I was in an airplane, had a parachute on, and I was flying over Russia, push me out of the airplane. I land in Moscow. I don't speak Russian, so immediately I'm going to have to find someone that speaks some English, right? I find a person, speaks English. How do you find them? You ask. Got someone that speaks English. I tell them what I'm doing. I'm here to do for life. I'm going to build a network. And I start selling them the vision, getting them to envision what I'm doing. Do you want to come with me? Let's do this together. I don't speak Russian. You do. Let's do this together. They start taking me to people. And as I start meeting people, I meet someone who works as, they work in a store as an employee. But then they introduce me to someone who's a business owner. That business owner has some experience in business. I just moved up the food chain a little bit, you see? But then let's say, hey, you know what? Or let's say that business owner says, hey, I know someone who was in network marketing years ago, and they're not doing anything right now. They might be interested. They take me to that person. I talk to them. That person says, hey, I understand this business a bit. Tell me more about For Life and Transfer Factor. I just moved up the food chain a little bit more. Do you understand what I'm saying? Moving up the food chain, identifying leaders, keeping your eyes open always with your downline as you build. Always be a scout. Always be out there scouting and looking. Make it a daily habit that as you're in your daily business, as you're doing out there in normal life, that Transfer Factor and For Life is incorporated. I'll give you an example. My wife, she's a great example of this. She takes a newbie down to the baseball field, and I'm coaching the kids playing baseball, and she's having everyone put a newbie on them. The ladies and even the men are trying the products. So she's out there scouting around, letting people try the products. I recently went to the ball field, and a lady walks up to me and says, hey, your wife gave me some of this lotion I gave to my mother who has a problem with her skin. She loves it. I didn't even know my wife had her try it, you see. So always make it a habit, be scouting. Find your prospects' hot buttons. When you're talking to someone, you need to find out where are their hot buttons. Some people, it might be the product. They might want to know more about the product, and that's really what their focus is on. Some people, it might be more about the opportunity. I get asked this question a lot. Dave, what do you talk about more, the opportunity, the product? It really depends who my audience is. If I'm doing a presentation to an individual that's next to me on a plane, and he just got through telling me he's a business owner, guess what I'm going to focus on? The business. And I'm going to incorporate my product so he realizes we have something very unique, but I'm going to focus on the business. Now, if I'm sitting there talking to someone and they just tell me that they're on their way to have some sort of treatment, well, product is probably what they're going to be interested in. So find your prospects' hot buttons. And how do you do that? By asking trigger questions. As soon as you talk about something, what do you think? And they might say, hey, I've got a question about your product. And they might say, hey, I've got a question about your company. I've done this business before and it didn't work for me because the company went out of business. Well, now you know what you have to talk about. Find the hot buttons. Keep your relationship solid. As you're building your business, it's very important that you're constantly working, we call the open I call it the open, not the close. I hear it sometimes, we got to go close this person. We don't close anybody, really. We open them. You open the relationship. You open the door. You bring them in. Because when you're bringing somebody into your business, do you want them for a day or do you want them for life? For life. So you open the relationship. Be patient. Let me tell you, as you build your business, we all come from different walks of life. Many of us speak different languages. We've had different jobs, different characters and personalities. Be patient. We're in a people business. Be a listener, not just a talker. Remember earlier I talked about those trigger questions? As you're talking to someone, always keep your eyes open so that when you ask a trigger question or even their body language, you can see where their hot buttons are. And when they start talking, listen. I mean, I've done presentations before where I've gone in there just bam, 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 bam. That's a great presentation. But you know what? I really don't know what that person really wants to hear. So be a listener. Lead by example. Be a good leader. You can't ask someone to do something you're not willing to do. So if you're asking somebody to go out and do these things, shouldn't you be doing them too? Of course. So you have to lead by example. Y'all like to travel? You love to travel the world? Be prepared to do that. Prepare yourself to go out there, and as you start building your business locally, pretty soon it starts becoming national around the country, and quickly nowadays it becomes international. Now back in the days when I started For Life 12 years ago, there was no international. So when I was on the telephone talking to people, it was, talking to Jeff Gilbers in South Carolina, talking to somebody up in Michigan or Florida. Nowadays, communication is very cheap. You can be talking to somebody around the world, through VoIP, in seconds, and it costs pennies. But be prepared as you build your business. You're going to have to get out there and start moving around. It's my belief that you cannot build this business successfully sitting at home on a computer all day long. You need to get out with your people and keep the relationship strong as you build your business. Stay involved. How do you stay involved? Why do we have opportunity meetings? Why do we have rallies? Why do we have conventions and events? Yes, we learn. Yes, it's exciting, but it keeps everybody involved. You know why? It keeps the relationship solid. It creates new relationships, but involvement also creates commitment. So as you build your business and you start developing new people, get them involved. Remember that time I told you I almost peed on the stage? I got involved that day. That was the day that I got it really involved in the business. And guess what? I started doing more presentations and more presentations and more. And pretty soon I got to be a pretty good presenter. And then I realized, you know what? I'm a good presenter, but am I a good duplicator? You could be a great presenter, but if you don't teach other people, you're not duplicating. So how do you teach other people? Get them involved. If you're out there doing a presentation, or they say, hey, I've got some people that are interested, and they've heard you do 3 or 4 presentations, you say, look, you know what? I'm going to talk about the company, and I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about our business and everything. Why don't you give a testimony on the product? Maybe they had a testimony, or maybe they just became a diamond. You say, you know what? I'm going to talk about the product. Why don't you talk about For Life and give your testimony on how you become a diamond, and I'll close it out for you. But by getting them involved, what are you doing? You're duplicating your business. So stay involved and keep your people involved. I'd like to end by telling you a short story that's kind of funny. Through For Life, our lives have changed. My family's life has changed tremendously. And I want to tell all of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, my family. We love you. We thank you, for your support. And it's my goal to be able to go out there and serve all of you and help all of you. And through you, because of For Life, we were able to build a nice home in San Diego, California, where Gabby, myself, our children, we lived there. We built this house. The only problem was we were living in a neighborhood where the houses were all packed together. And the kids could go out and they could play in the street. They could go next door. It was, just like, hey, I'm going next door. Okay, great. Well, when we bought our property, everything changed. Now, you can't just walk next door, really. You have to get in the car and drive the kids and drop them off, and they can play. So one day, Gabby, she says, hey, can you stop by and pick up Ryan? He's over at the neighbor's playing. And so I go in there to pick up our little boy, Ryan, and Ryan's playing with little Matthew, and all of a sudden, in walks the door Matthew's father. He's a fireman. He has his fireman's hat on, his jacket and everything, and Matthew says, Daddy's home, Daddy's home. And Ryan looks at this fireman like, wow, like he's God, wow. And then Ryan says, my dad is nothing. Now, my point is this. It's not important that Ryan understands transfer factor. He takes it every day. It's not important that he understands how to present. It's not important that he understands network marketing. What's important is that he realizes that Daddy does what he wants, when he wants, where he wants, how he wants, with whom he wants, and that's independence. We took our kids out of school. You're going to see our kids running around for the next 2 days up here at convention. We just took them out of school, and they're here. They were in Florida 18 months ago in Orlando. So it's great to have the independence. So let me tell you, you can do this business. You're here. You're here because you made a commitment. You made a decision. Keep the vision. Keep going and become Platinum International Diamonds. Every one of you can do it. I expect to see you at the top as a Platinum International. Thank you very much.